Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a quick video. This may not actually be that quick, I don't know. Literally, as you can see here, we've got Gil riding a Mumakil. Need I say more? But seriously, we have a lot of troop changes coming. We have colossal units coming in. We have flying units. We have flying units, but actually a flying tag and a colossal tag, 2 units, which change what they do in battle. We also have some new rules with reinforcements. That means your reinforcements can potentially get sniped on their way to reinforce your actual armies. So kind of a lot to go over. So I don't know. Roll the intro. Let's get into it. Lots coming up here. Okay, as always, this is going to be linked down in the description below. This entire post or posts from the main Discord where they have started putting news out again. They actually stopped for several months. So I will say the fact that we're getting news is a good thing. So I'm very excited about that. How I feel about the news specifically, we'll get into it. But this is linked down below, as well as the top-up link for the channel, the @me top-up link. If you use that link to make your in-game purchases instead of making your purchases in-game, it's very, very simple to do. You do that, it supports the channel at no extra cost, and it's actually cheaper in some parts of the world. So yes, depending on where you're at in the world, you could be spending more money than you need to on I mean, any money you spend is probably more than you need to, but you're spending it's not more expensive and actually is cheaper in some areas. So use that link, support the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. But we got these posts kind of talking about the new army types. It's all the movement update in the game. The kind of, to my understanding, the final like mechanical update to Rise Store 2.0. There may be some visual stuff still, which I'll get to at the end. But the whole reason that they're doing this is they talk about just the impact that armies in the Middle Earth saga, Lord of the Rings, whatever, have arriving and intercepting. They talk about Éomer's Riders of Rohan in the Battle of Helm's Deep. When Éomer shows up, they talk about the Fell Beasts. In Osgiliath, they talk about the Army of the Dead and the Mumakil and their different arrivals changing the flow of the battle, so on and so forth, which I like. As a huge Lord of the Rings fan, some of the best moments in those movies are when these armies show up and save the day, whether it be an enemy army showing up and you're like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna die, or it's the long-awaited allies who are finally there. So I'm a big fan of the lore accuracy to this, if you will, because those are some of the most powerful moments in the whole trilogy, in my opinion. So it says these armies intercept their enemies from the flank, descend straight from the skies, or demolish defenses in a split second, creating significant advantages for their own forces on the battlefield. In the new version, we have implemented a new special unit gameplay system and have made adjustments to certain army features with the aim of bringing more realism and strategic depth to the battlefield. Here's an introduction of the new army gameplay feature. So again, the quick translation: we want the game and the strategic decisions to more reflect the sort of like epicness of the different army arrivals that you see throughout all the Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth history, where it changes the tide for one side or the other. And that's happening with this new update. It says, new army buffs. This update will introduce all new special units to the game: flying units and colossal units. Deploying these units will grant your army special buffs on the battlefield. First of all, and I think this one is really cool, I'm actually excited about this. It is, so it says, in Lord of the Rings, both the Mumakil and Ents demonstrated the advantages of their enormous size and played a significant role in the battle. Side note, apart from them being colossal, Ents just need to be better. They absolutely are like such an amazing like part of that story, and they're so powerful, and they have sucked the entire time in Rise Store. So on a side note, with them being colossal, they just need to be made better, devs. Make the Ents better. Therefore, in the game, we have added the colossal size to the skill to Mumakil, Ents, Werewolf, and Koldrak units. So 4 colossal units coming to the game. And it says, when an army includes any special unit with the colossal size skill, this army will become a colossal army. So I'm like trying to read through this, but they like to use a lot of words. So if you have any, my understanding, if you have any single troop in an army, you could have, 3 cavalry and 1 Ent. Because the Ent is there, when the army includes any special unit with the colossal size skill, the army would become a colossal army, kind of represented here by this Mumakil. I'm not sure if all colossal armies are represented by Mumakil, or if there's only 4 of them, so they better have a freaking Ent and a Coldrick and a Werewolf as well if they just did a copy and paste. Now, I get it for like, we'll get to it. You can actually see the enemy sizes now too. For that, sure. Like you don't show what it is, but like for our own, we better be able to see it. That's all I gotta say. So here's the actual point in game. It says colossal size. Increase the size of your army to 2x2. In the event of a draw with another tactician's army, your army will intimidate enemy non-colossal armies, making them give up on the battle and retreat by 2 or more land tiles. So if there is a draw that happens on the field and you have, or one army has colossal units, the other army, if they don't have the colossal units, will be intimidated and forced to retreat by up to 2 tiles, since they are 2x2 axioms, just to get away from them. Which again, depending on how the battle went, you might like that or you might not. It might be something where, you know, they have to use stamina to go attack again. Allows you to reinforce. We'll see how it plays out, but it's interesting nonetheless. So that's the colossal size that Werewolves, Ents, Mumakil, and Coldrakes will have moving forward. So I think it's pretty cool. But that is the first part of the post they put out. Continue on, it says Colossal Armies have a more prominent presence on the battlefield. They occupy 2x2 space on the map, which means that they will battle defenders in a 4x4 tile area in each engagement. So my question is, kind of going back to this, if I take one step forward, which is really 2 steps, and there are 2 armies, it looks like you'd be fighting both. Again, they occupy 2x2 space on the map, which means they will battle defenders in a 4-tile area in each engagement. Moreover, Colossal Armies require a 2-tile wide path when moving, so they're restricted by movement a little bit. So I think technically you could fight up to 4 armies at once, which, depending on who it is, you could be like, this is great. For the stamina cost, I'm fighting more. And if they're very strong, you could not like that. I don't know. Continuing, it says when Colossal Armies engage enemies in combat and the battle ends in a draw, the intimidation effect will trigger, causing enemy armies to retreat a certain distance. This ability also enhances the utility of Colossal Armies in different battlefield scenarios. At the same time, sort of the balance, to balance the tactical impact of Colossal Armies, we have added a rule whereby the movement of Colossal Armies consume more commander stamina. Therefore, tacticians will need to consider carefully when and where to deploy these colossal units in battle. So I don't know how much. It doesn't say. I'm going to guess doubled, but it could be more. So you won't be able to move as much. Now, could you still just sit somewhere and guard a 2x2 by yourself with colossal units? And that's kind of nice, because there are definitely times where you want to be able to cover more ground and defend more land without having as many people as you want to do that. And so parking some colossal units who, yes, they're limited on stamina, but if you're just parking them, it may not matter. So again, interesting, at least interesting. We'll see in practice how it plays out, but I like the tactical implications of it seem interesting to me, and I hope it plays out to where it's enjoyable and not just something that's a mess, which I'm nervous, but like trying here. Okay. Next up, continue on, we have Flying Armies. The Eagles and Fell Beasts in the Lord of the Rings also made equally deep impression on all of us, and making these units more fun to play was the initial intention behind our Flying Units update. They're already very fun to play. If you play 2.0, you can just do full Eagles on your march. It's very fun. So they become a little bit more interesting now. It says in the new version, ground units will encounter various terrain obstacles. So if you've not seen, the new marching mechanic is any army marching on the map needs a physical route to go on the actual map. So if there's a mountain, they have to go around. If there's a river, they go around. They have to go through crossings and tunnels. Even if you own the other side, you can't just march over a mountain like you could before. So it says, however, flying units will be able to fly across these obstacles to reach their destination directly and attack the defenders there. The excellent mobility of flying units makes them a vital force for breaking through blockades and launching a surprise attack, expanding the dynamics of the game's various battlefields. Again, the implications of it seem interesting. We'll see how it actually plays out. But the fact that you have now colossal and flying units who could very much affect the battlefield differently, and you have to strategize who on your team is using what things and what's the most effective. I guess my hope with any of these updates is just that none of them are broken to where everyone's just running around with colossal units or everyone's running around with eagles, and there actually is advantage to running one or the other. Or, which we'll get to in a second, there's still going to be the like unit size countering, like small, medium, large, where small counters large, large counters medium, medium counters small. That is still in effect. So I just, it's a big mess, and I hope it ends up working out. That's where I'm at right now. Anyway, moving on. In order to build a flying army, the army must contain only units with a flying trait. Flying units will not bump into or engage enemies, enemy armies along their path when moving. However, training flying units will consume a significant amount of time and resources. I don't know if I'm more than usual, but they specifically mention that. They don't about anything else. So bear in mind, flying units could be very OP, but also very expensive. So here we see Gandalf the White flying above the river very nicely, not having to worry about that nonsense. And then the actual like detail for flying army, it says, when an army consists entirely of flying units, it'll become a flying army. Flying armies can traverse terrain and bypass obstacles with the influence range of your settlements and forts. So it's just eagles and fell beasts. I don't think there's any word on if they're adding more. I feel like, I don't know what else they could add, but I think the more variety, the better. Just means it's not locked down to certain regions, and be interesting if there were some different versions of these things. I don't know. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. But continuing on, it says the Colossal Army and Flying Army features are also part of the version 2.0 marching updates. Different Colossal units and Flying units will also be categorized according to physique types, large, medium, or small, meaning they'll be affected by countering relationships in battle. More unit skills and buffs will be introduced to the game in the future. So there's still more to come, and the physique types, large, medium, small, will affect Colossal and Flying units. I'm going to go on. I think this is where it shows it here. Yeah, so display of physique types on the map. There are various types of units in Middle-earth. Again, we've kind of already said it. Long story short, you're going to be able to see on the map what the different sizes of units are. You have small. I think eagles are still large. These are colossal, and then maybe these Beornings here are meant to represent medium. There's some cavalry back here too, but as you can see, there's a wide variety of different things. You can have small, medium, large, and colossal. And though that kind of like rock, paper, scissors, where large beats medium, medium beats small, small beats large. Not beats, but like there is a pretty decent advantage when you do this correctly. So now you can see these on the map and play a little bit more strategically, which my first thought is I like the idea. I hit the mic, sorry. My first thought is I like the idea because I missed the old Rise to War where there were more commander counters and you could survey the field and try and counter armies out there. Even if you're outgeared, you might have an okay chance because you are a counter to that army. In this case, if you see there is a large army or medium or small or whatever, assuming you have multiple or your team has multiple, you can strategize and say, hey, we need a large army to go attack this cavalry comp. Or, hey, there is a full large army march coming in. We need some small infantry to go take that out. Whatever it is, I think it allows for more team coordination and it allows for individuals to have a better chance at winning gear and respect apart. It's just this. Will it play out that way? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but I feel like it's the closest thing to like countering commanders in Rise to War 1.0 that we have now. So I'm going to try and run with it and see what happens. So there's that. Last but not least, and actually very, very important, the changes to reinforcements. This one I don't know about. It says, with the changes to marching rules and army commands, armies are expected to play a more flexible and versatile role in battle. For example, you'll be able to either dispatch your armies to engage in direct confrontations or send them to outflank the enemy and cut off their supply lines. Therefore, again, lots of words. They've changed rules for reinforcement. Reinforcing armies will march along the actual terrain, just like I talked about with the marching update. We talked about it several times. There has to be a direct path. If the army to be reinforced is stationed at a fort, the reinforcements have to go to the fort first, and then they'll proceed to the location of the target army. If there are obstacles along the reinforcement path, the reinforcements will be disabled. Additionally, when the reinforcing army encounters enemy forces on that path, if there's an enemy force in the way, just like you can intercept actual armies and hit them on like marches and paths, now if that happens with reinforcements, they can be attacked, which I don't like, at least reading it first. So kind of as you can see here, we have this reinforcing army here. They're reinforcing to this guy right here, and there is an enemy army in the middle, and they will attack and engage with this army and can only continue reinforcement if they win the battle. Now, to my understanding, it's just troops. So obviously, if this is like a weakened army and you've taken a significant hit and there's a lot of troops, maybe it'll be okay. But in my mind, there's no commander with reinforcements. So they're going to be like absolutely destroyed. I have to think that's what's going to happen. So getting your reinforcements hit is going to be a bad thing. Unless they add some new feature to it or a way to escort reinforcements with a commander, maybe. So it's like actually an army marching out to reinforce, and then the other guy goes. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud here. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. But I am very interested to see how this actually plays out. Because on first look, it just seems like you're going to get your reinforcement sniped, and people are going to try and do that. I would assume that the enemies can see reinforcement lines now. That would make sense. So people are going to try and snipe reinforcement. And that's going to be very interesting and annoying. But we'll see how that actually plays out. So again, there you can see the draw happening here, and they will not continue unless that they win that draw. So in the future, these changes will be gradually implemented throughout different seasons and campaigns, allowing you to experience this battlefield evolution in its entirety. We look forward to seeing you shine, blah, blah, blah. That's the gist of it. The other thing I will say is I think this battlefield evolution, Kings of Men, is what is going to have these things implemented. I don't want to look at that. But it just says, please stay tuned. It's not started yet. I think word on the street was February, but it could be later. And it says they'll be gradually rolled out. So I'm ready for it. Like if they're doing it, let's just pull the trigger and get in there. But anyway, that's the bulk of the actual information. And then they give us a few screenshots of different UI changes. So you can see it looks pretty different from what it did before. The rings up here. Again, I don't have really any issues with UI changes at the end of the day. If it makes sense, if it helps with quality of life stuff, I don't care. This, by the way, I won't pull it up, but if you watched my video on Infinite Borders, their other game, the other NetEase game, this looks very, very similar to it. So, like, I actually opened Infinite Borders and didn't know what I was doing because I was like, this looks super different. So, again, you know what? Here, hold on. All right, trying to make me play through the tutorial again. I'm not going to do that. But this, just for reference, is a screenshot. So you can see the similarities of how things look like. This is Infinite Borders. This is Rise to War. Get the buttons down here, up here. Kind of the top display with the resources. Top display resources, button down here. It doesn't look like there's as much bottom right, but you have buttons in the top left and right, stuff here. So again, the thought that Rise to War is very much becoming Infinite Borders, I think is accurate, which again, if they do it right, could work out okay. If basically Rise to War is not making enough money to support the game like it needs to be, and so they're sort of combining two development staffs to run one game that has two different skins, I'm okay with that. If they do it well, if they actually address bugs and they update commanders and they balance things and they make crappy commanders better and they fix, like, there's so many things they need to do. If they did that, I would be like, fine. I don't care if it's a different skin of the exact same game, literally tile for tile. I don't care. But it does seem like it very much is looking like. So again, I don't have anything else to say about them. They posted 4 where you can just see the different things. I'm trying to see if there's anything I missed, like that, you know, like a new weather. So I don't know. Like, we'll dig into it more. If you guys have seen anything else, I will say in Infinite Borders, it's called drafting units as well, and now it looks like conscripting units will now be drafting units. So again, like, even the terminology is like lining up a bit more. So that's it. That's all I got. Which is a lot. There's a lot of stuff. This ended up being a longer video, but hopefully you guys are, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Are you guys excited? Are you not? I'm just happy that they're communicating with us at all. I know my expectations are low. The game has changed a lot. I get it. But I feel like the Flying Army stuff, the Colossal Army stuff is interesting at very least. I want to see how the marching system works, but I'm not opposed to it. The only thing I'm not sure how it's gonna work is the reinforcement deal. That one seems odd to me, but I'd be happy to hear what you guys think. So let me know down below. And hey, while you're down there, use that App Me Top Up link. Support the channel so I can keep making more content like this and ranting for 20 minutes about Rise. We're not even ranting. We're talking about the updates. But hopefully you guys enjoy it. And as always, I'll see you guys in a future video.